This conference
Okay.
will now be recorded.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, you just threw me. I wasn't recorded. I had remarks, and now I'm recorded, so now I don't. Just kidding. So let's move right into the agenda for the Audit and Finance Committee. I think most of you got a copy of that agenda. We'll skip the chairman's remarks. We'll move right into the approval of the June 10th meeting minutes. I was not at that meeting. Craig Gelsman chaired that meeting, and I think all of you got copies of those minutes ahead of this meeting. So certainly, if there are any questions or comments, please feel free. Otherwise, I'd look for a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Thank you, Dave. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Cheryl. All those in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Thank you. Okay, now we have some bills to take a look at. You all also received a copy of the list of those bills along with a listing of deposits. I think as you look through those, nothing extraordinary. I think the largest check we had in there was Paperkite with respect to the marketing campaign that we're all aware of. And then their quarterly website maintenance costs. But other than that, if everyone's in favor, I'd look for a motion to approve the bills.
Tom. I make a motion. Tom.
Yep. Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
Josh will second.
Yep. Thank you, Josh. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or questions? No. Great. And just to review the deposits, we did receive 3 monthly rental payments and a loan payment, which is on the second tab of that report. So moving right along, I think Jody has provided updated budget, which is the only financials in the packet to review. I think our CEO for Hire Group will be, they're probably, 3 or 4 days behind here in terms of getting those reports, but we should mid-month. So, okay.
Losing you, Jeff.
Yeah. So anyway, right now we're overall about $100,000 where we want to be. However, I'll be attending the IGA meeting to draw down their money, which is a substantial amount for us, as well as we're still working on draw down the state for You're saying it's going to erase the 1.6. Sorry? You're saying that will erase the 1.6. Yeah. Greg, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was looking to see exactly where it was. We did the bills, right?
Yeah. You still lose Jeff?
I think it's, yeah, I think it might, Jeff, we can hear Craig.
Where were we next? I'm looking for my agenda here. Hold on.
Andrew, you can hear us, right?
Yes, yeah. Jody, if you could just talk a little more emphasis, but yeah, I can hear you all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Jeff, can you hear us? Can you respond?
No, I think it's yeah.
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I couldn't understand what he was saying where was he the last few? Where was he at?
He was at payment of the bills, and then Jody reviewed.
Oh, we did. Did we approve the bills? We approved that, right? We voted on that?
Yes.
Okay. And then Jody, what? Go ahead, Megan. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And then Jody reviewed his budget. I don't know that you guys heard it.
No, we didn't.
Basically, we're doing about $120,000. I've got to go to the IGA meeting at the next meeting and request the drawdown for the county money. So we'll do that this month, the end of this month. And then we'll start preparing the drawdown request from Empire State Development for $150,000. And the only, I don't know, you send out profit and loss statements to everybody?
They have it.
Okay. So the difference between our current profit and loss statements and my spreadsheet, the profit and loss. Actually, balance sheet will do the profit. So that's all I have on the financials.
Okay. We did expenses and deposits, right?
Correct.
Okay. I think we can move on. We can move on to projects committee. I think we're good. Anybody have any questions?
Food and finished business for our audit and finance.
Correct. Any new unfinished business?
Yes, we did receive some correspondence from environmental energy, environmental energy.
Yeah.
They are requesting so the owner of environmental energy is requesting that we consider dropping our loan by 50% for about
Lower 40.
our IPA technically cannot forgive. I had the same discussion with Jeff Ward about 2 years ago. Take things in. Which is paid on all of the other counties, including part of. I really kind of feel for when she doesn't have. So I'm going to refer this to the full finance committee. I guess for the next meeting to discuss this. But my recommendation is actually to have our I guess to have our Capital Resource Corporation buy the note from the IPA. And the Capital Resource Corporation can make a determination whether they want to give 20,000, 5,000, which is able to sell the other portion of the upside.
So I guess where is this coming from in terms of why does she want this? Not to be mean, but technically she wants to stop paying this. Right. So is there a transaction on the table that is prompting this?
She's looking at the real estate. Yeah.
What's the backstory just before all me?
Yeah.
What was this
Yeah.
money for, loan
Yeah,
for?
why?
So
These,
moving to-
these people making grass pellets into,
Yeah.
grass into wood, stove pellets.
We're going
through.
Yeah, this goes back probably 10 years.
It was going on before I got.
Before I think any of this back.
The business that has failed, or
Failure to launch possibly. I don't
so
know.
it never really
They did do some manufacturing, but I'm not sure. I think early on meetings, the ash content, what is dense enough to actually generate a heat, made too much gas. Nice, it's one of those nice ideas.
And about
I've had a couple.
So anyway, about 2 years ago, she did have a potential buyer for the property that fell through because they didn't want to pay off our note, which doesn't seem like a lot of money.
No, where is the property? You know,
Next to you, it's right on the line of you know where we're at.
that's again. On the back river road or the front? Is that 7 or is that?
It's just offset.
what's the original on that? There was, you said this was something else. The original loan, even if it was a series of loans, first one and second one, it's about 100, so she's paid off, what you're saying, 54,000 has been paid off.
Yeah, she sold. She sold now. But she sold some of the property to pay off part of the initial debt. Somehow there were 3 counties involved. And at some point in time, again, before I got here, was an agreement that 3 counties.
Hey, Jody.
Yeah.
You're the only one that we can't hear. I can't hear. Can you just sit forward and move towards the mic? Because everybody else is clear when they speak.
Those are the ones.
You're the only one that can't. I can hear everybody else, but nobody else. I don't know if Andrew's the same way. You the same way, Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just you're sitting back and you can't.
Just can't hear Jody for some reason.
Okay, so for some
There we
reason,
go.
before my time here, there was a sale of part of a property, and the 3 counties shared equally in that revenue that came in. 2 of the counties were paid off in full, ours was not. And since we still have a lien on this property, we've kept that ever since then. Now, this woman comes in probably once every 6 months to make a payment in some fashion. But she really doesn't have any.
So her assets are property, no equipment or anything else?
No.
So just the property.
Just the property.
There's no building.
She sold all the equipment and also to make payments to the 3 counties.
Do you know? Right. Is the property like solely for her business, or is her house on the property?
It almost looks like a gravel mine.
She doesn't live on this property.
Right,
Yeah.
So it's separate from.
that's right.
There is a building on the property, but I don't think it's really worth anything.
Yeah, I don't recall even where it is. I know
Yeah, that's the
it's
thing,
Eagle Air.
Wells Bridge.
Well, okay, well,
Is the property worth 46,000? That would be.
it'd be hard for property now.
The property.
Acres.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lien for 46,000, correct? If we're talking 4 or 5 acres, it's off Route 7, sunlight gravel, full gravel pit. It's worth 46,000. Is that one of the issues that she can maybe get 25 and she can sell it, but
I think ultimately, I don't know we haven't talked to a realtor. We just got the letter in. We haven't corresponded with her. I think she's trying to make some profit off of it to give her some money. So she's probably, my guess is going to look at selling it for $40,000-$50,000. If you get half, she would take the other.
can we get that information? Like what is the
I know, I
sale?
feel like, I guess I feel a little, I mean, I'm empathetic to her situation, but I feel a little odd just saying, well, we'll cut that in half. I mean, where does that stop in terms of
Right,
consistency across the
And the
board?
precedent we set.
Right.
I want to be as tough on the theater when they come asking for. Maybe tough.
Well, that's, I mean, I think, right, what you
Yeah.
do is
Yeah,
kind of
it's a
create a
precedent.
precedent and standard.
My question ties into what everybody else is saying. If in fact we can, working with her, we can actually get 25 of the 46 or not get anything, then I'm
That's
interested in working with her.
we need to define a little more information. We don't know.
Yeah, I think
That's-
understand the
yeah,
The
transaction.
lawyer just came in today. We haven't
Yeah.
corresponded.
Yeah, so I think we get that information on what the property actually, what its value is, we can make it.
And what kind of offer does she have on the property right now, right? Like, does she have an offer? Is this just preemptive, assuming an offer might come in, right? Like, I mean, I think.
If we can be instrumental in making a sale happen, which would then get us some of the debt we have, that would be worthwhile. If she's gonna sell it for 75, that's a different story.
Right.
And again, if we negotiate a sale, I would still recommend.
But you have to if they're going to accept something less than.
Anyway, we just need more information.
Did you hear that conversation, Craig and Andrew and Larry?
Yep.
Also, it seems like,
I'll pull diagram.
it seems like,
whenever the IDA is made alone, we're giving a piece of it, which sounds like we can't do anyways. The RCRC would have to do it or something to that extent. People's situations are very difficult to actually assess. So it seems like before we would do something, there should be some other requirement. She should declare bankruptcy, or there should be some other legal means that's outside of us. I mean, some people, they have a really fancy car and they have no money, other people have no car. And we're not in a position to be able to tell.
Right, we need the rest of the story.
That type of thing. And so from our perspective, giving loans, however we do it, I think it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah. You know,
Maybe that's solved that problem. But
Let's see if we
The
can
big
read.
difference between her and the other two outstanding loans, though, is that she actually.
Jody, sit forward.
The big difference between her and the other two outstanding loans that we have is that she is actually trying to make some type of payment.
Well,
The other two,
anyway, we just need
I have
to-
not even met since I've been here for years.
Mr. Cormier.
Yet he has not come in and said what his problem is, why he can't pay. I haven't heard anything.
I agree with what you're saying, but what to Tom's point, the principle of giving a loan is the same, whether it's a person that's attempting to pay off or a person that isn't. So down the road, we don't want to do something that could be.
regardless, we need a full understanding of her
Yeah.
situation, her complete situation. You know, and what the options are, she's looking at, we can't just, okay, sure, no problem. And if she has no money, how could she get half? You know what I mean?
How much was the original loan?
Next.
How much was the original loan? I just want to.
Right.
Craig, can you repeat that?
I feel,
How much was the original loan?
I'll have to check the files. I think it was at least $100,000.
I can't hear you because you're sitting back.
I said, we'll have to go back through the files. We didn't prepare that for today. We just wanted to bring up that she's made this request. And we're gonna.
I recall that it was somewhere around 150,000, I believe, or more. But we've been through this for years. Okay, moving on. Get some more information for everybody. Thank you. I think that's it, right, Megan?
Well, we want to also talk about the solar.
Oh, solar pilot. I thought you did. I couldn't hear you. I thought you did. Okay, yeah, the solar pilot. Yep.
We ran 3 different scenarios on the solar pilots. One was taken from Montgomery County. One was taken from what was done in Cattaraugus County. And then we came across the third one, which is recommended by NYSERDA, which is actually similar to the one in Cattaraugus County. It's based on what utility services are. So ours is in NYSEG, which actually, for some reason, the fees that NYSERDA recommends that we charge are less than other utility districts. So we're still having correspondence with the company because one of the things that both the Cattaraugus as well as NYSERDA's is not just the service area that you have to look at and what the recommended rates are that NYSEG would be paying for, but also what is the profit that the solar company is making. So we requested that. We still haven't had that back yet. So this will come up again next month, both at finance and ultimately with the board being final determination, but not this. So that's,
Let me ask you just a quick question. This is based on megawatt production,
right.
Which the Corning one was not. Corning was just based on cost of installation. And this is 5 times the expenditure for installation, if I remember correctly. This is more, instead of $1.1 million, this is 5.
Yeah, they said, I think actually between 6 and 8.
Yeah.
So I'm using a ballpark figure of 7 million based on what our fee. Our fee would stay, even though we're changing the way we would look at doing a pilot for this. All the agreements that we looked at say that you have to pay the standard fee that we would normally charge. So we would still base it on construction. So in theory, we make probably 660 to 70. that's all I have for you.
Okay. Any more questions? We'll end the Audit and Finance Committee and moving on.
All right, roll into the Finance Committee meeting. I will forward the comments. Moving right into the approval of the June 10th meeting minutes. Are there any questions or comments on those? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving into our project trackers, and which one you want to start with first, Jody? I want to start with rail yards, perhaps that's the simpler one at this point.
Really, the only activity that we've been working on with County Rail Yards is that there is several of the counties, I think 6 or 7 of the counties are putting on what they're calling a developers conference. Held at the in Fulton County. It'll be sometime, I think, in the September, October. The reason is that they meet every second Thursday in the morning. So a lot of the meetings on this but what they're showcasing is they're showcasing potentially developable property, primarily brownfields. So we have submitted the rail yards. Have Mr. Kuhn will fly over with his drones to get some pictures of it. We submitted those and we're working on the presentation for this conference on that site. The only other site that we somewhat missed getting that site in, been approached by the county to look at the county garage facility. Apparently, the county's looking at the garage.
Improvement.
And so it was suggested to us that we look at submitting that site as well. It would be a site for potential housing. It would be a brownfield site.
Housing on the brownfield? I didn't think they were reasonable.
I don't think it is. The county's also suggested that we apply the brownfield study on that site. My recommendation is that back to them is that probably should be the county. Because in other counties, that's usually does those types of studies. And to be honest.
I think you got to speak up again.
Oh, and again, it's a tremendous amount of work to do that type of stuff. You end up hiring someone to actually do a lot of the work for you. Right now, we're just on that.
It's not inexpensive.
I'm sorry.
It's not inexpensive.
No.
Either.
No, that consultant can run $100,000.
Right.
But anyway, that is really no activity other than site photographs.
Can you just quickly address email you sent out yesterday with regard to our friends at NICIC, which does impact both the rail yards and
What every few months I get a request from Empire State Development. They have a site selection committee that's representing the company in the site in our region. And so,
can you hear Craig?
I can hear you, David. Can't hear Jody.
Oh,
Just
okay.
it's perfect.
so Dave,
Dave,
Dave asked about the email I sent about the electric issues yesterday. And I was explaining that every couple of months we get a request from Empire State Development that is working with a site selection company, representing a company looking for a potential site in our region. So as opposed to just saying, this is a waste of time for me to respond, I actually do reach out to NICIG to see if there's any possibility that they can obtain required energy for these companies. And so that's what I did. I sent the specs that they have for the electric to NICIG and said, can either of our sites at either the business park or the rail yards meet their energy requirements. And oddly enough, the positive thing on that email was that the Oneonta rail yards is close if we did some upgrades. So my recommendation going back to the county is the county should be pushing NYSEG to make upgrades for that particular line so we can handle, have a little bit more energy to accommodate some of these requests. You're talking about electric, not gas. But that was my point of the about 3 weeks ago, I emailed the two chairmen for the county, Nick Kennedy and Michelle Farwell, saying that what's going on with the energy study? It's been 2 years now. And the response was, well, we kind of got sidetracked with COVID-19. And apparently that woke everybody up, and they had a energy committee for the business community 2 weeks ago. Right? And the document is terrible. That we have really no work has been done. And everybody still was focused on, well, the interruptible supplies, can we reduce SUNY Coal's bill and get more gas? But I said, it's not just gas, it's electric. And I don't think people really understand how antiquated our systems are in this county. So I also sent that email to that. I said, can't you have somebody at the county? I don't want to get involved in energy.
Yeah, won't spend twice shy.
Just to add something like this, the subcommittees or committees just received a document at 48 pages. And each committee is now reviewing it, providing feedback to the central committee. I don't know, I'm not Danny laughing, I think he's on the central. That has to be in our committee also. We took a brief look at that and we're doing a more thorough review and getting back. There were real issues with that document. But we were asking the same questions. What happened? We submitted everything months and months and months ago. So I think there was finally movement on it. And that issue is supposed to be addressed, final document, the electrical issue. So it'll be interesting to see.
And why I asked Meg and Michelle what's going on was we had a discussion with the attorney representing Brooks Bottling. They looked at our site. We reached out to NYSEG to find out where the gas lines actually end in that part. And they responded back to us that basically we need to know the load. We're almost out of gas. So that's what prompted me to apply to the county again and say, I don't want to get involved in energy anymore, but you guys are supposed to take the lead.
Two things for me. Number one, would Richfield work for the project you talked about here? They have this.
Well, I think Craig made a good point yesterday, is that if you look at the water supply issues, I don't think any of our communities would make that. The specifications.
30 million gallons.
Yeah.
This what? I don't know what the Decker plant is, but they were doing all the cutting and everything else with number one, with water, and number two, the Susquehanna River Basin Commission at that time said they had never turned down a project for water concerns. He said an aquifer, you couldn't, in their words, you couldn't pump dry to work that. So, we live in abundance of fresh water. So let's try to figure out, say, we could fix the water issue. Okay, well, treat it or not, what they would have to do for that could be done. That's our ace. That's why we could get it. But anyway.
In Richfield Springs, you could make both the electric probably
and the gas, but not water. Okay. Second thing that I would point out is when the floods happened, the governor flew to Margaretville in a helicopter and couldn't get a cell phone reception. Right? They couldn't get approval to build a cell phone. In 90 days, we were a tower up and had cell phone service. So, you can go through the county, you can talk, unless somebody has a line into, the governor could fix this in about 2 conversations to get it started. You're not going to move NYSEG. It's an international corporation. They'll slow roll everybody. You need, to me, strong political leverage. I would think gas is a different issue. Electricity, it can be fixed, but somebody that really has to want to do it. And I think the only big enough leverage in the state of New York to make things happen is government program. And we have a mayor who supposedly knows somebody in his office. So
what I did get an email back from the task force members saying, well, what should we do about this? And so the first thing you need to do is you need to finish your energy study. Because that's the basis for what you're going to make a recommendation. So when we had meetings with Landscape on this, there was two issues. One was natural gas, and the second was electricity. And I split them that we agreed that we would deal with natural gas first and then look at the electric issues. And Mr. Taylor was in his office 3 or 4 times. He was taking it serious. I said, the big difference is that Senator Seward, I said, we don't have that clout.
Well, I understand the mayor had a lot of conversations, and he's still here, still in office, and he would help. I mean, let me say, the county, you're going to go, I think you're doing it in shadows. I mean, everybody's going to work real hard and get all done, and what are you going to do? What was the political leverage or impact a small county in upstate New York did a study? Here's what we need. You know, Manhattan, these other things, Long Island exists, we're way down here. I just think that and if the governor's going to run for re-election, he can do some things to make himself look good. Like fixing our electric gas is a political thing. That's a hot potato. We don't do that. I mean, good, but I don't see any fight on a moral issue against electricity, right? It's
No,
just
it's
technically
the opposite.
getting it done. What?
Yeah.
Correct. So,
There's
so
a-
I'm saying you don't have that political roadblock. It's something we could do, but I don't. The slow roll, you know, we're going to wear everybody out. You know, we got to speed up to come to a complete stop to what the rate things are going.
Well, I would hope that the county would designate somebody to take the lead. Because it is.
You're correct. It's not fair for me to run straight with you. It's not your job.
Yeah, we need county leaders, whether state, whoever, to work with Peter Overacker and Salka or whoever, and see if they can, you know, something even like Hillfall, I think that's that party.
I think that's, you know,
But-
looking at the political
but that's-
realities, we need
That's where the
some,
county,
you know, I
I
mean,
think
they're
the
good
county has to
citizens.
step up and do something with it.
Understanding the
We're
situation,
not
I
a
don't think they
political
would be
action.
against helping. But
Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, I think from my perspective, just to kind of maybe come full circle right here, is just really figuring out the plan in terms of if we're waiting for a site complete. But I think in our role, what I would see the most is essentially informing the county or informing the appropriate people of what we're losing because we don't have these resources.
And then
So
it's all
it
on the
can, yeah, we
Right,
press the
right.
buttons around, we just
Did they
lost
get
potential
copied
for
on that
this.
email? County board get copied on the email with all.
No, just the, yes.
I mean, somewhere, the energy task force knew we lost those jobs.
At least the business.
I mean, I think
and the
that's,
two reps that we're talking
yeah,
about.
don't you think, Josh, that's got to be more what people don't know?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thrust worldwide is to shift toward electrification. But the conversation that hasn't occurred is that we don't have the infrastructure to support that right now.
Correct.
If we were to shut off gas, everything would just fall to pieces.
Yeah.
You can't even, right now, you can't do like the fast chargers.
Mhm.
You have demand chargers.
Correct.
Residential, you're okay, but forget
So-
trying to
so
put them
we're
in
not-
as any kind of commercial because demand charges are at.
Well, I
So
don't
the
want, I
state-
got one, I know, I couldn't sell enough charges to bring it. Cost me every month to have it there, but I have to have it there. The other thing, the conversation last week, Pete had with for Delaware Co-op Electric, is he's concerned, he started asking about how what are sales, because if they go to fast chargers, his system, at a home, you can do an overnight charge. You have to change the transformer, which is a great expense for the co-op, but also the new transformer that's bigger is less efficient, and it runs more for the electricity. You've got that too. So once again, it's not just because we go to electric, all the problems in the world didn't go away. It has its own challenges, and somebody's has to come to us and say, have we counted everything as we rush headlong into this grand adventure? I mean, electric propulsion is more efficient and it's coming, but we don't take care of the logistics. You know, back to us, economic development, we just need it so we can add some jobs. So that's, but everybody in the region with electrification is going to have some problems they are not aware of.
So I will raise this issue at the IGA meeting.
I think what you said are really important to have the county task force include study. And if in fact, and since I've been involved, it is going to focus on the need for electrical infrastructure. based on the call to get away carbon fuel. So that becomes then a really important document for Canada to use for talking to whoever they end up talking.
And I probably will reach out to NYSEG based on the email they sent me yesterday and ask them what the cost of that electrical upgrade.
To Craig's point, the NYSEG substation by Shabani seemed to happen,
Yeah, Governor.
and that's a pretty expensive substation. They put
Once
in,
again, it takes executive action to, and we got this big, goes in there, never comes out, got a mess and all, so that.
anyway, that was a major investment.
Yeah.
They're running major electricity.
And I would say this, what was there before, was no reason to do that, it was the vision of what could be.
Right.
And that's what we can't wait till we have the jobs and say, but at least have some electric. Yeah. Somewhere we need an advantage in the negotiation when competing with other sites. If that's something, any more gas, any more electric, we can come here, let's play,
I think the other piece was
Yeah.
one that pushed it.
It was a-
Well, that's the thing, like, it's chicken and egg, right, because we're having a strong.
It's always-
business.
They had both the egg and the chicken.
Yeah.
We got like 1,000 jobs. It's not like the,
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I think that does
It
obviously
makes it-
leverage
that-
there,
that-
huge, yeah. Okay, finish report.
So that's it on the rail yards.
Oh, you really went on about that.
Well, that's good. Actually, it was productive. Jump into Richfield Springs. Richfield Springs, I had a discussion yesterday that if we ever hire a consultant to help us on a project, I'd like to hire somebody. It's gonna take so much work.
so we need to order it a little.
Lean forward, speak up.
And one of the problems is that there's always floating pieces. I reached out to Cynthia Andela, talked to her extensively yesterday, day before yesterday, and yesterday. And she is going to try to talk to the bank about getting an intent letter to finance her project with water and sewer. Because one of the emails I got from the federal EDA was that, well, if you don't have an end recipient anymore, then why are we doing this project? Because you said there was a need to have companies have a place to go build it. So I emailed EDA back and says, well, we're trying to get this bank to give an intent letter. I said, but right now she's going to have difficulty with finances because she's saying, I want to buy a piece of property that doesn't have water and sewer right now, but next year it will. And the banks are saying, well,
We got another chicken and egg thing.
So their response back to me was, oh, no, you cannot negotiate a sale of a piece of property until we approve. And I'm like, well, you just told me we need a commitment. Now you're telling me we can't negotiate a sale. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I have a good rapport with Brett, who's their senior engineer in Philadelphia on this. But he goes back and forth on like he initially said that in the report that you've got to submit a request for extension of time immediately. And yesterday he said, well, I wouldn't submit that request until you have really analyzed what the steps and the time frame is going to be. And I said, that makes a lot of sense. He said, I'm trying to set up a meeting on Friday or Monday with an engineer to sit down with the spreadsheet and actually figure out what we need to do. But either I'm going to spend probably 25 to 50% of my time working on this for the next 6 months. Well, that's probably what I'm going to do.
Is there professional skill we can hire?
And what's, yeah, it's math, like,
What consultant would you recommend, what it costs? I once again, there's so much going on, Joey. I've had too many places there many times. Of course, you don't do anything well, and I have to do both.
Been on your time.
We do have
Think about what the world does, man.
we do have in the budget that EDA approved, I think about $100,000 to hire a consultant to do grants And originally, when my initial discussions with Brett on this, well, you need to hire somebody, you can do that yourself. Well, yeah, I could do it myself, but I want to spend so much time on this. But, I mean, that stack of papers over there is all of the documents that we need to review and sign and send back to this project. It's a stack like this. This is,
I think we need to pursue, at least what the cost, what the scope.
Yeah, like again, what the skill that you're looking for, what kind of role would they play?
How many hours a week?
Yeah,
All that
yeah.
stuff. I mean, I would certainly think we would invest time well looking into what that could be.
so I'm
Increase capacity,
so-
increase production capacity in the office.
So the two things I'm recommending is that we do, I don't mind working on a request for proposals for both grants management and construction supervision. We have to use the EDA's procurement procedures and standards. And even if we don't hire anybody, it would be good to know what the reason I was reluctant to want to do that is because of COVID-19 construction prices have increased. So my worry is when they actually go out to bid, the prices are going to be 20% higher. So that extra $200,000 that's in the open consultants, I was trying not to spend that money to say we'll put it for construction.
That's a good jump over a dollar and grab a dime. So we need this to move forward. We need to get the next step done. Can't know what we'll find out from that without doing it. I mean, we can sit on goal forever. That doesn't
So,
change.
so Brett's final comment to me on the end recipient was, well, until Andela sends you a letter saying she doesn't want to do this project anymore, we have a letter from her saying that she was going to do this, so we're satisfied with that. And if that changes, we'll deal with it.
So just adding the conversation that I had with you, the idea that the Richmond Springs could be construction management. Their department. We're pivoting away from that. Now let's look at independent, correct? Or not.
Who do you mean it really goes to be?
Nope, we lost them.
Hey, folks, the audio is completely gone on our side, I think.
And the video.
Yeah, I've been really struggling all meeting long. I've been getting about 2 out of every 3 words. Can you hear me, Andrew?
Yes. Yeah. They're still showing they're here, but it's saying that you have to rejoin.
Yeah, I would have to think that's what it would be.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I mean, in terms of getting them in the mix.
I already need to oversee it. And I guess not, I think we have.
I don't see what they-
More than 3.
To me, that would seem to be the route to go with it, is work with them on submitting a proposal to be part of that RFP.
Yeah, I agree. I'll suggest that. So that's what's, it's just,
Now, this is
there's a
point
lot
where
more, I'm sorry.
I would bring up, I've had this conversation with you for a couple of years on the benefit to the county having a water and sewer authority as part of their one department. For the small things in different parts of the county where municipalities don't have any expertise, it would be a great benefit if we want organized and proper development and protecting water purity and all that other stuff, environmental protection, real economic development. So that's part of the agreement, some sensible, reliable, dependable, professional organization within the county that does that. Anyway, just wondering.
I agree with that concept. Maybe once we have it come down to
Yeah.
$1 million, we can have those discussions.
I want the county to have
actually go.
To create like infrastructure. Right in here.
It would be great to have water and sewer options.
First things first.
Yeah,
Let's get Richmond.
yeah.
Yes. So
Okay.
that's what I have on Richfield right
All right, so next project meeting, you can bring to us at that point in time, kind of what you're thinking for consultant, skill set, pricing, hours.
Yes, and hopefully by that time I'll have a detailed instruction.
Okay. And I mean, honestly, looking at, because of the grant and because the timeline there is moving forward as quickly as possible on any RFP you're asking for regarding construction supervision.
That's a not super sophisticated. No, we're extending gas lines, water lines.
Yeah.
And, we have something local that's all the time. Particularly when they're putting on water.
Yeah.
Job.
But he's storming out.
Larry, you were muted before. Did you have something to say? I saw you talking and then we lost our connection.
Yeah, I've been really struggling the entire meeting with hearing you guys.
Is it Jody or all of us?
Well, I think Jody's probably a little bit worse than everybody else, but I'm picking up like 2 out of every 3 words. So,
Oh,
All right.
Andrew, is that the same for you?
Yeah, it's a little hard. I don't know if the mic could be moved down farther, so I don't know, closer to them.
Got the mic shut.
Jody's literally right in front of the mic.
it feels more like a bandwidth issue.
There might be a band.
So this is the project manual, which is the detailed specifications for the construction based on EDA requirements. You would think that we would need a spec book about this way to run a water and sewer, but it ends up being this thick.
Yeah, that's my concern. Any federal paperwork is harder than the project.
And while I sent this to EDA for approval, their response was back, we want your engineer to know each page where our specifications are, so that we can review it easier. I'm like, are you kidding me?
This is it. You're talking about the specifications that are being put together by the engineers for the water lines and the gas lines. Is that correct?
Right. Water, sewer, yeah.
That's more a direct connection between them and EDA than us, is it not?
Yes, but for some reason, they don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
EDA talks to me, I have to talk to the engineering firm sends it back to me, I have to send it. It's like, can't you 2 people just talk together? It's like, no, I have to go through your agency.
The specs on the gas, that is nicely done, isn't it?
What we've done is in the specifications, we've run what they initially recommended was going to be a 200 gas line. So it's in our specs to bid out. Ultimately, that portion may be bid out separately by NICE. Okay. Right now, NICE is going to the Public Service Commission. I believe I've convinced, and I've got to get a timeline for that. Convinced NICE that please do not call it a distribution extension of the distribution line, but extension of the lateral. It's only a 2-inch pipe, and they agree that that's what they're going to call it. Otherwise, the lateral distribution extension.
Yeah, my point is that the engineers that are putting together the water line specs, one thing, nobody puts a gas line in that isn't spec'd by NICE. Because it's really nice line, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
But we're trying to coordinate so the construction goes at the same time. So we have excavators that are big ditches.
Right.
So Larry, just in case you didn't hear, I mean, essentially where we're at with this project is moving ahead kind of back to where we were with working with EDA on the extension or the project timeline to be able to complete within the previously defined grant period. We're going to move ahead with looking at hiring or sending our RFPs for consultants regarding grant management and the construction supervision so we can continue with the project. We should have by next meeting timelines and estimates on costs related to those consultants.
Stated firmly.
Great.
Voice that carries. I like that.
I second that motion.
All right, so moving into the director's report, Jody,
Oh,
obviously.
I just want to make one quick comment for you guys. Just so you know, the town and the village are moving forward with their intermunicipal agreements that we need to finalize and put together for the water sewer lines. We're having a second meeting tonight of a committee that was created by involving both boards in these discussions. So the town is doing the best it can, and the village, I think, is doing the best it can to get our ducks in a line to get out of your way. So,
Okay, great.
Good.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, so taking a look at the director's report, obviously we already hit the project charters for the top two. Is there any other items on there, Jody, you'd like to highlight, or any questions anyone has?
Cookies on the story, we submitted a final drawdown request for like $500. Close out the grant. The final annual assessment report. So hopefully those will be approved, which we can do in that budget. Paris reports. Megan did receive information from the foundation, Bassett Hospital. I got to tell you yesterday, I got an email saying they accepted that.
Oh, good.
So we're going to get back to us with how to make those corrections for our Paris reports like that. Corning, we actually signed documents yesterday. Dave signed documents. So for the closing of the Corning project. Hopefully that will happen. We have been asked to submit a full application for ARC funding for our proposal on the Center for Innovation. Springbrook has completed, has resubmitted a formal pilot application. They provide us with an analysis of cost benefit for housing projects. Have scheduled a public hearing on that. We have sent out notices to taxing jurisdictions about mitigation of policies. And similarly, today we'll be sending out advertisements for advanced biotech on their project. It took us over a week to reach the town supervisor to get the blessings to hold a public hearing in the town hall. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Monday was a holiday. Like this is the benefit. That's really kind of it. The only other thing is that we had some discussions at our last meeting with Electronics. As everybody recalls, they now own the company that the digital, flexible digital displays. And what we suggested was that they build 3 of those for our agency. We have a video to show the people of the various types of manufacturing and why you should look at bringing your business here, and actually have those displays installed at the Baseball Hall of Fame, maybe the Town All-Star Field, where we end up having a lot of tourists outside the area. And we only need for the summer, maybe in case it comes down to the Baseball Hall of Fame, we have to get around. They will lead and supply those to us. And the reason is that, well, you're getting free advertising, making these things. Have a lot of people seeing them. So they want to move ahead with a different type of marketing, which is marketing locally, not as a digital thing, but businesses that are so we're working on this. I did talk to Chris about that.
Okay, so I just want us to go a little bit back to Center for Innovation and just again, chicken and egg moment. In terms of making sure we understand from this team what that project includes. Is that something we're willing to take on? What would the resources be? What would the cost be? I don't know if we're right chicken and egg if we want to do the application and get that decided before we talk about that as a team or a committee. So that would just be my one. We do have the project kind of approval template that we had created a while ago in terms of does it qualify, is it within the realm of what we want to take on? I mean, I think we talked about it in terms of being intriguing and something that we feel like the area needs, but again, I think just making sure we understand what kind of investment we're talking here and what our ultimate goal is might be worthwhile for the next meeting to have that. Unless you want to wait and see how the application goes, if that fails, we don't. But I just think keeping it all informed and making sure we understand what we're stepping into.
Yeah, to be honest, when we did the pre-application, we just threw in numbers because that's pre-application. The next one is like 50 after that. So everybody said, oh, well, customer electronics, debt management, so we threw in a budget and it was sort of a meaningless budget. Now they've asked for detailed information. We're actually going to spend the money. And because they like the concept.
Right.
Of what we're trying to do. So we really have to take out.
Okay. Yep. And I just want to step in something, get a grant, and all of a sudden be like, oh, we don't have the time or we're not willing to invest whatever we need to invest in to make that happen.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting for clarification from them because some of the things we submitted was that, well, we're going to charge you for that. I threw a number in and they said, well, is that?
Yeah, so do they have an actual form? Like, I know they talked to us last meeting about, like, do they have a formal business plan that they're laying out? Like, is this still conceptual? And we need to move it into a plan? Where are we in that stage? And are they taking the lead, being IACS custom, or is that something they're looking for us to take the lead on?
I think they want to take the lead, which is actually.
That's
Yeah,
fine, but just
we need
keep
to
in
know
mind exactly what does this look
this
like?
is.
Yeah.
There's a Harvard professor, Suco professor involved in this, with the same one.
Yeah. And I just got yesterday from Carol. We gave her a form to fill out all the tasks. And she just got that.
Okay.
But they're actually taking
Okay. All right. So new and unfinished business, the project evaluation, which we had reviewed a little bit previously. Did you make any substantial changes, Jody, to that?
No, I did not. I did talk to the IDA director at the city hall to review some of the concerns I had, questions. Mainly they're on the exception. They have a series of exceptions. And what was interesting is, well, we look at those if we, but they really reviewed the chart. They really like.
That's not a legal term.
Yeah, I know. Like, okay, good.
And I evaluated, like I said, sprinkler project. So I'm asking for a take a look at it and get back to me. Otherwise, we'll bring it up for adoption.
The only question I just quickly had here was just when you look at your weighted score of 10, just keeping in mind that essentially people qualify under here by just permanent jobs and retaining jobs, right, and construction jobs without any concern with anything related to investment or revitalization. So just, I guess, if you're looking at that, are we comfortable with that or are we not comfortable with that? So so if you literally through employment alone would qualify or could qualify regardless of anything to the left of that chart. So I don't know if you gave any thought to that, if that was intentional.
I thought there was a cross reference. But
I didn't pick up on that in the verbiage that was provided. Basically saying a minimum of 10 activities or a weighted score of 10. So if I'm creating more than 20 permanent jobs and retaining more than 20 jobs, I qualify. Or if I'm creating more than 20 construction jobs, right? Like, so you could do it just purely through jobs.
Or if they're creating jobs, that just bypass this.
Well, I think it still gets into qualifications around the type of industry that they're bringing in. So that's where I think this chart, what we're trying to create is this chart to allow for some of that that maybe traditionally isn't done through the IDA. So my only concern with that is that this being that purpose, you can essentially bypass that completely by just the job creation. So you begin with that essentially. But if you create and retain 40 jobs, basically, we don't have to worry about any other criteria. If that's what we want to go with, fine, I just wanted to point that out.
The goal for this is to allow the IDA to encourage multi-family housing.
It also, though, would take, there'd be issues such as hotels. Technically, hotels should.
Yeah, it's like a solar problem. Very unique.
Yeah.
Construction jobs,
So
little or no jobs, post construction.
And based on what my survey is recommending, we're going to have a separate policy. So that as opposed
Okay.
to this.
All right, anything else for projects? Motion to adjourn.
So moved. We need a governance. We need you not to participate.
We can do an executive session, right?
Have we lost Andrew?
Yeah, he left. Larry left.
Okay.
I'm just keeping that up to record.
All right, we could do this both. We're gonna go to executive session.
Do you want to do it for 1 minute? That's what.
Yeah.
So moved.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Second.
Let's take a
Thank
quick
you.
break, okay? Give Jody time to breathe. Old man walk.
I'm actually just going to stop recording if you're going into.
So before you stop, we're going into executive, need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of contract salaries of personnel. So moved.
Thank
First.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yes.
We'll get it figured out. I'm sure.